Welcome to this third video in the IBM Spectrum Protect Plus sizing series. In this video, we're going to cover entering the global options inside of the sizer sheet. As you recall from the first video, the sizing example that we'll be using includes these two locations, and right now we're working on the primary location. We'll be entering the global data that includes information about deduplicating all of the data. Now the global options will just cover the primary location, and so that will impact the vCenter data as well as the Microsoft SQL data. We'll be creating a separate spreadsheet for the secondary location, and it will have its own global data information. On the Start Here page, underneath the global options, you'll see that by default the vSnap enable compression is set to yes. If you did want to change that, you can simply click down on the arrow and set it to no. It automatically comes up with a 2:1 compression ratio, and as you'll see from the box right here, that will then give you a total data reduction estimate of 15%. If you decide to turn on deduplication, you can go ahead and change that to yes. And the default that the spreadsheet is set to is a 1.5:1 ratio. You can change the default deduplication rate if you think you have an overall different deduplication rate for your environment. And in a different video, we'll show you how you could change it if you have it a different rate for a specific application. Now remember, with Spectrum Protect Plus, we're doing incremental forever backups for most of the data, and therefore right up front, we reduce drastically the amount of redundant data that is being sent to Spectrum Protect Plus. Once you turn on deduplication, you'll see that now your total data reduction estimate changes to 67%, which is equivalent to 3:1. If you decide to turn on deduplication, or if you decide to enable the vSnap encryption, make sure you have first of all read the description about the deduplication and the encryption impacts that are covered in the blueprints document inside of Chapter 2. These will outline the overhead that they entail. Now, if you do turn on the vSnap encryption, that really doesn't affect this sizing spreadsheet much. Only in much larger cases will you see an increase in the CPU if encryption is turned on. But for this example, we're going to go ahead and leave it off. Next, you'll need to look at things like your VADP transport method. You'll need to set up the host to VADP proxy network and the vSnap network that you anticipate having in place. This optional replication input for the workload, we're going to come back to that, and we're actually going to set that once we have completed the primary and the secondary site. We'll then import some of the data back into this optional replication portion right here. So that's all there is to entering global options. In the next video in this series, we'll cover entering data for a VMware environment. Thank you very much.